and welcome to NTA News on NTA International at this time. I am Habiba Oladipo. We begin with a look at the headlines. President Buhari receives Jonathan over Malian crisis. Talks centered on finding lasting peace in the country. Information Minister inaugurates a 5-man implementation committee post-COVID-19 for creative industry. Plus, APC leaders sue for respect for one another as they find lasting solutions to internal crisis. Soldiers Tuesday fired their guns into the air in the base in Katy, a garrison town some 15 kilometers 9 miles from Bamako, while witnesses said armored tanks and military vehicles could be seen on its streets. Reports say some senior government ministers and army officers were under arrest, but it was not clear by whom. Malian Prime Minister Boubou Cissé called for fraternal dialogue with the soldiers, admitting they might have legitimate frustrations. The government is calling for calm and makes itself available to engage in fraternal dialogue in order to remove all misunderstandings. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, urged the mutineers to return to the barracks. The mutiny comes at a time when, for several months now, ECOWAS has been taking initiatives and conducting mediation efforts with all Malian parties, the statement said. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has received in audience former President Goodluck Jonathan in furtherance of sustained efforts at finding lasting solutions to the political crisis rocking the Republic of Mali. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that Goodluck Jonathan is a ECOWAS special envoy and head of mediation mission to the West African nation.
This is the second time in 1 month President Muhammadu Buhari is formally engaging his immediate predecessor, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, on the political situation in Mali. The meeting is described as corollary to efforts by ECOWAS leaders towards restoring stability to the West African nation. President Muhammadu Buhari and 4 other ECOWAS leaders had visited Bamako, Mali last month, followed by a virtual extraordinary meeting of the sub-regional body, which came up with far-reaching measures aimed at normalizing the situation for sustainable democracy and development. Former President Jonathan, who was in Mali last week, recounted to President Muhammadu Buhari his meetings with the stakeholders and other important personalities critical to peace and cohesion in the country, amongst them political and religious leaders, as well as ambassadors of the United States, France, Russia, Germany, and the European Union. The main opposition group, M5, he however said, continued to insist on the resignation of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, a position that will not be acceptable by either ECOWAS or any international organization, including the African Union and the United Nations. Former President Jonathan, however, said the Constitutional Court had been reconstituted and inaugurated, while vacancies in the Supreme Court had been filled, thus sorting out the judicial arm of government. President Muhammadu Buhari thanked Dr. Goodluck Jonathan for his efforts, especially the stamina he displayed on the Mali issue, but cancelled further consultations with the ECOWAS chairman, President Mahamadou Issoufou of the Republic of Niger. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State has formally briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the improved security situation in the home of solid minerals, which he attributed to prompt response and intervention by the federal government. Again, State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has that report.
Security for us in Nasarawa State is very, very important, and it's job one, if you want to put it as part of safety, because we are attracting a lot of investments, and those investments will materialize only when we have security.
And this informed the governor's invitation to the State House towards charting the best way forward with President Muhammadu Buhari. Apart from kidnapping and armed robbery, Nasarawa State is also confronted by bandits and other criminal elements dislodged from the northeast and northwest Nigeria, now finding comfort in the rocky areas of the state to carry out their nefarious activities. Governor Sule, however, said with the effective collaboration and cooperation between the state and the federal government, the security situation in the state has improved significantly.
I had to express great appreciation to Mr. President, one, for accepting to set up the third military mobile police training college in Nasarawa State. And it is set up actually at a place that has a lot of jungles and used by kidnappers and armed robbers in the past. So it was very successful. The project has been completed. We commissioned it last week, and everything went very well. Also to express our appreciation to Mr. President for the military super camps that he agreed to set up in Nasarawa. Both of them have been established. Also for the Air Force Special Forces in Lafia, as well as the military special forces in Doma.
Issues relating to the first election to be conducted by INEC amidst the coronavirus pandemic in Nasarawa State was also discussed at the meeting.
I'm happy to inform you that we had a very, very peaceful by-election in the Nasarawa Central, and I'm also happier to tell you that apart from being very peaceful, APC won the election. So I needed to brief Mr. President about the election, how it went.
President Muhammadu Buhari expressed satisfaction with the successful conduct of the election and urged the nation's electoral umpire and other stakeholders to ensure that the same is replicated in the forthcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And staying with security matters, the national president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Olashupo Ayokunle, says sustained all-inclusive dialogue between aggrieved parties is the surest way out of the prolonged southern Kaduna crisis, rather than the blame game amongst people with stake in the region. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports that the religious leader led a high-powered delegation of members of the supreme body of Christians for a talk with Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai.
A delegation on a mission in search for peace in the troubled southern Kaduna region engulfed in conflict and bloodshed. At hand to receive the delegation are policymakers and conflict managers preoccupied with the mission of recovering the peace that eludes the people that were known for centuries of peaceful coexistence. Former Deputy Governor of the state, Barnabas Yusuf Bala, who hails from the troubled region, is in the meeting, and so is the current Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe, also a citizen of the region. Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai informs the CAN president and his entourage that, in spite of false narratives and baseless claims from some quarters, great achievements have been recorded in the collaborative efforts towards arresting the problem that had lingered for a while now.
Our immediate focus remains to stop the cycle of attacks and reprisals. We remain committed to ending the legacy of violence that has blighted the state for 40 years, needlessly taking many lives and curtailed the life chances of many others.
President of the Christian Association of Nigeria is optimistic that the remedy to the crisis lies in sincerity, dialogue, forgiveness, and respect for human dignity, while security operatives should resort to advanced technology in fishing the criminals from their hideouts.
We will dialogue also with the warring parties as much as possible, especially through the Nigerian Interreligious Council.
I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
Government is stepping up efforts to contain the incessant attacks in southern parts of Kaduna State. The latest move was the deployment of special forces to the area. And joining us to talk about the situation there in Kaduna State is the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arua. Sir, you're welcome to our studios at this time.
Thank you for having me.
So you have been working closely with security operatives who are trying to restore peace to some communities in the southern parts of the state. What is the situation at the moment?
Well, as we speak, we are making significant progress in the 4 local government areas that we have security challenges since on the 11th of June 2020. It may also interest you to know that the state government has doubled up consultations, reaching out to traditional institutions, religious groups, and also community-based leaders, alongside with the engagement of military officers who are equally reaching out to community leaders in line with the military-civil relations. I am also happy to inform you that we have just received the 3rd batch of the special forces of the armed forces deployed from the defense headquarters. On the 11th of June, we had the 1st batch of the special forces, and last week the 2nd batch arrived, and the day before yesterday we received the 3rd batch from the Nigerian Air Force. I just returned to Kaduna from Kafanchan, where I formally welcomed the special forces on behalf of the governor. So in a nutshell, we are doing our best, and like I said, the situation is gradually returning to normal, but then we've not put off our eyes of the challenges.
Okay, so with the inauguration of special forces in the area, has there been any sign that the restoring peace to the area is coming very soon?
Certainly, because the coming of the special forces is to sustain or consolidate gains achieved so far by security agencies that include the military, the police, and other agencies. But beyond boots on the ground, what is important is for members of the general public or residents of the general area to assist security agencies with vital information. And above all, what is also important is for members of the communities in the flashpoints to recourse to the law. Since 2015, the position of Kaduna State government has been very clear. If pastoralists in the course of grazing have a challenge, what they are expected to do is to recourse to the law. The same thing to community that host pastoralists. If someone goes to the farm and is missing, or if there's any challenge, what they are expected to do is to recourse to the law. Because once you recourse to the law, resolution or arbitration will be very easy. But in a situation where everyone carries the law on his own, definitely the situation will worse, and arbitration will be very, very difficult. This has been our appeal. We are also appealing to the media to help us in the peace building, because when you monitor the media and you see how the issue is being reported in the media, you will quite agree with us that they will only exacerbate the situation in our hands.
So my final question for you for tonight will be, beyond deploying special forces to the area, what other effort is being put in place by the government to get to the root of the problem, which has been on for years?
Well, as we speak, if you take the Zemonkatov crisis of 1992, 28 years after the crisis resurfaced as a result of the contentious farmland in the general area. I am happy to reiterate to you that state government has set up a white paper drafting committee, and they are making progress. And I have also made it clear here that government is engaging community leaders and other critical stakeholders alongside with Kaduna State Peace Commission in order to strengthen the peace building that Kaduna State government is driving. As you just reported yesterday, the national leadership of Christian Association of Nigeria, led by the national president, were here in Kaduna, and we had an extensive session with them, and there are a lot of areas that we've agreed to build upon in ensuring that normalcy beyond boots on the ground actually return.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arua, for sharing your time with us on the news at this time.
You're welcome.
Yes. You're watching the news on NTA International. More news after this break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for being there. Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, Salihu Mohammed Lukman, has appealed to APC leaders to respect one another in the process of finding lasting solutions to the internal crisis. Addressing journalists as a Forum Secretariat in Abuja, Director General acknowledged the pivotal role being played by leaders of the party, President Muhammadu Buhari, particularly in creating a liberal environment within the APC. He says it is the responsibility of the progressives to be active in activities that will enable APC retain its glory always.
All our leaders, and Comrade Shumole inclusive, should please try and support President Buhari to ensure that the problem of this party is resolved. We are not God. It's only God that is perfect, that he can set out from the beginning to have an unhindered, problem-free exercise. This, especially on issue that is going to be contextual, is going to be contested. So anything could happen. But at the moment, I'm confident they are working, and I am absolutely sure they will begin to address this problem in not too distant time.
Absolute confidence in the Mimala Buni-led caretaker and extraordinary National Convention Committee has the ability to reunite members. Beyond widespread public perception that the Presidential Special Public Works Program is transient, the National Directorate of Employment, in an interface with some leaders of the APC Northwest Zone, has given context to the far-reaching benefits of the scheme. NTA Fineface reports that mitigating rural-urban migration is a sustainable manner in one of the 7 objectives behind the initiative.
When members and leaders of the All Progressives Congress APC converge, politics and leadership are likely items on the menu. But this visit of the zonal management of the APC Northwest to the National Directorate of Employment is for other serious business. Politics aside, it's a form of campaign, not for votes, but jobs.
The government cannot accommodate everybody when it comes to issue of employment. But this administration has initiated a lot of projects of employment empowerment opportunities.
Equipped with presidential vision, backing and required funds, the NDE is already on course.
One of the promises made to Nigerians youth by Mr. President is to provide employment.
For the Director General, it is time to unravel the 7-pronged objectives of the Special Public Works Program, which include increased funds to drive microeconomy, community supervision of government physical assets, and transmutation of beneficiaries to agricultural extension workers.
Wherever these young men and women are engaged, we send our team to preach, to talk to them on the importance of managing their meager resources so that they can move forward in their various businesses. If you are a farmer, by the time you have 60,000 naira, you can use part of it to buy water pumping machine so that you can move forward.
Preparations are on course to commence the program in October this year. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
And to health matters, World Health Organization urges country to join multilateral COVID-19 vaccine efforts as South Africa eases coronavirus restrictions. Joyce Omitu has the global update on the pandemic.
The World Health Organization has warned that COVID-19 is now being spread mainly by young people who may be unaware that they are infected, thereby transmitting the virus to more vulnerable groups. The agency on Tuesday sent a letter to every country asking them to join multilateral vaccine efforts, as some countries are putting their own interests ahead of others in trying to secure supplies of a possible vaccine. Meanwhile, statistics by Worldometer as at 6 p.m. local time show that cases now stand at 22,122,436, out of which 14,854,808 have recovered, while 778,921 deaths have been registered. In Nigeria, statistics by the Center for Disease Control and CDC indicates that the country is nearing 50,000 cases of coronavirus, recording 49,485 cases. There have been 36,834 recoveries and 977 deaths. South Africa, which had one of the world's strictest anti-coronavirus lockdowns for 5 months, relaxed its restrictions on Tuesday in response to a decrease in new cases. The country relaxed its regulations to permit the reopening of bars, restaurants, gyms and places of worship, all limited to not more than 50 persons. The African continent has 1,132,915 cases, 25,952 deaths and 850,553 recoveries. Elsewhere, South Korea, which has won praise for its handling of COVID-19, is tightening social distancing measures after a spike in cases. In a press briefing, the country's Deputy Health Minister Kim Ganglip said this week will be a crucial juncture for the country's fight against the virus, as clusters of infections in the capital are on the brink of spreading nationwide. And that's a global update on COVID-19. I am Joyce Ometu.
The federal government is stepping up investment in modern diagnostic facilities at the federal medical centers in the country to enable them perform their complementary roles to the teaching hospitals effectively. At the presentation of appointment letters to the new chief executives of 4 federal medical centers in Abuja, the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunniyi Mamora, was optimistic about the capacity of the new healthmen to deliver on the expectation of the government. Kelvin Eboayi reports.
Healthcare delivery on the shoulders of the nation's teaching hospitals is huge. That responsibility is even now being compounded with the battle to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. So, the federal medical centers must step up to take up some of the responsibilities, but they can only do that effectively with adequate facilities, especially diagnostic laboratories.
We want to ensure that they are well equipped. You see, because in patient management, I've always argued that for me, the most important aspect of patient management is diagnosis. Our federal medical centers, they are doing their best, and of course, they don't forget. Just a few weeks back, the FMC Kefi separated conjoined twins.
The new medical directors are Dr. Aisha Shehu Adamu, FMC Jalingo, Dr. Basi Edet, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Calabar, Dr. Agbalo Akani, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Aro Abeokuta, and Professor Babantunde Salapo, Director General, Nigerian Institute for Medical Research, Yaba, Lagos. They are to serve for 4 years in the first instance. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has inaugurated a 5-man implementation committee post-COVID-19 for the creative industry. Anthony Forson reports.
The 5-man committee has the Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, Otumba Olusegun Nshawe, as chairman. Their terms of reference include designing an implementation plan on immediate and short-term relief for the creative industry in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, design a policy framework for tax relief for various sectors in the industry, as well as work out a long-term intervention for the overall development. Inaugurating the committee, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said the report, which they are about to come up with its implementation modalities, is a comprehensive document.
We have indeed studied the report, and I can tell you that it is nothing short of phenomenal. The committee went beyond the call of duty to do a thorough forensic audit of the creative industry like it has never been done before.
He was quick to oblige the committee an extension beyond the 6-week time frame.
I have no doubt that this implementation committee will approach its assignment with a great sense of duty, realizing that the development and growth of the creative industry, which is the second biggest job creator after agriculture, rests on their shoulders.
Chairman of the committee, Otumba Olusegun Ogunsewe, while commending the minister for recognizing the sector in the COVID-19 era.
And for us as a nation, the honorable
A former managing director and chief editor-in-chief of the Nigerian agency, Malam Wada Maida, is dead. He died at the age of 70, a close associate to the late statesman Issa Funtua. Maida was said to have slumped in his house. In 2017, President Muhammadu Buhari appointed him chairman of NAN board. Maida was a former press secretary to President Buhari when he was the military head of state between 1984 and 1985. He was board chairman of People's Media Limited. He became NAN managing director in 1994 after a long spell as editor-in-chief beginning from 1985. He joined NAN as a pioneer editorial staff in 1978 and was at various times political editor and London bureau chief. In March, President Buhari felicitated with the late Maida on his 70th birthday, celebrating his achievement in journalism and public service. And that's his news at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Habiba Oladipo.